So this video is going to change the way you guys communicate in the household. That's my goal. I want to completely change the way that you guys communicate in your home. And this is another communication tool, technique that you guys can use, not just in your home life, but at work, that'll change the entire culture of both places, okay? Communication is a huge issue in everybody's personal lives and professional lives. So I wanted to do this video for you guys because I dropped one about communication. I think it was the last video or the video before, and you guys loved it. So I said, hey, you know what? If they loved it, let me do another one, since communication is the thing that everybody wants to work on. So this is going to be the video that helps you out, like I said, to streamline communication in your household and among your team at work. And I'm going to give you a technique that's not really taught in any leadership course that you'll ever go through. And I've never seen any books from this technique that I'm going to teach. It's a technique that I learned at war. So that's what I'm going to dive into in today's video. Guys, if you're new to the channel, I'm Jeremiah Sullivan, former Army Ranger and an infantry officer. I was a bottom 1%er. I was a quitter in life, and I gave up on my dreams. I got desperate, joined the military, and I was in the bottom 1% of the military when I came in. And I changed myself. I worked on my mindset, my personal development. I got around good mentors, and I became a top 1%er in the military. Army Ranger, infantry commander. I ran 100 miles in the Rockies, then I got out. And I've been helping high achievers and entrepreneurs remove the obstacles in their way so that they can hit their goals and become the best version of themselves. So excited to dive into today's topic. The lesson I'm going to teach you guys. So when I was 20 years old, I was in Iraq. I met my wife in Iraq. We were both soldiers. I've been with my wife since we've been dating. We started dating in 2000. Well, she says 2008. I say 2008. She says 2007. But either way, we started dating in Iraq, and then we made it official in 2008, January of 2008, if you're listening to me. So we got married in 2012. So I've been with my wife for closing in on 20 years, ballpark. And we have been through all sorts of ups and downs, man. You know, we were basically, like I said, we came into the military, and she outranked me when I came in. I outranked her when I left. I was actually she was a staff sergeant, and I was commissioning as an officer. But the moral of the story is, when we were in Iraq, I used to sneak over to her work. She was in human resources, so basically she did S1 work, basically paperwork, promotions, ID cards, and we were in Iraq for 15 months. And I saw her around our little area, and there wasn't a lot of women in Iraq, but I saw her and she caught my attention. I was like, dang, I just fell in love immediately, man. But I just remember her hair. My wife is black, white, and Puerto Rican, and she has this curly hair, and so she was working out, and I would see her in Iraq running and doing PT, and she used to hate running, but I'd see her running down the road in her hair and everything. And so anyways, I started trying to pursue her and try to date her when I was over there, and she blew me off for 6 months. And finally one day she caved in, because I kept asking her to go on dates with me and stuff, go watch a movie or whatever. And I would leave and go out to a mission. I would come back, and eventually she gave me the time of day, and I won her over. And I won her over with, she'll tell you, it was my humor. And just, I did drop a MySpace pic, and I had my shirt off. And listen, so I had MySpace when I was in Iraq, and she saw it. And I posted a shirtless pic, and that was the moment when I posted that picture. That was the moment that she said yes to me, and said that she would go on a date with me, coincidentally. So I think I got her with the MySpace pic. She says that I got her with my humor. But anyway, so point being, with this technique that I'm gonna teach you guys, is we've been through a lot. And one of the things that we've had to improve is our communication in the household. So the military life is really fast paced, right? Lots of deployments. I was moving every pretty much year and a half when I was in the military. I went, to all the different schools in the military: Ranger School, Striker Leader course, Airborne School, Air Assault School. So I was always gone. Plus I did Army's Best Ranger competition. So anyways, what ended up happening one time was I was gone so much. When I came home, my wife, she really wanted my presence. And you guys, this is where you guys are going to be able to relate to your teams and to your people. And so, I come home one time and I'm like just on my phone after I'd been gone for some time, and I'm sitting on one side of the couch, she's on the other side of the couch, opposite sides of the couch, and we're just not connecting. And I remember she said something, she spoke up, she said, "You're home but you're not present." And I got pissed, man. I was like, "What do you mean I'm home but I'm not present? What do you mean I've been gone? Let me just relax." I just started making a bunch of excuses and shit. But she was right. I was home, but I wasn't being present with her. And so I decided every time I have a problem in my life, I like to try to put a system in place. So I created a system. And I had remembered back to when I was in Iraq at 20 years old. I had this team leader that he gave me a piece of advice one time. And he said that over here in Iraq, the only thing to talk about is work. He's like, it's so easy to get caught up in the talk of work. He's like, so what we do, because he had deployed before, and he was kind of like showing me the ropes about deployments. And he's like, well, during deployments, one of the best practices is when you go to eat, you don't talk about work. You don't talk about the military. You just talk about random shit. And so that was like a boundary that we created during that deployment. And it really helped. It helped you kind of alleviate the mental stress of the deployment. Like, let's not talk about ops. Let's talk about anything else other than the mission. So it allowed you to decompress. Well, I remember that lesson when I was with my wife and I had gotten back to the States, and at this point we've been together and married. I think this was like 2015 or something like that. And so we've been married like for 3 years, but I was gone a ton. And I remember that lesson from Iraq at 20 years old. And so when she said, "You're home, but you're not present," I said, "Okay, I'm going to fix this." And I made a commitment that night that every night I would have dinner with her, that I was home. Every night that I could have dinner with her, I would sit down, and before I sat down, I would throw my phone on the couch, and I would sit and be present with her at dinner. And then I had a rule. Not only was I going to be present at the table, I was not going to have my phone, and I was going to ask her insightful questions into her life. Now this is my communication technique for you guys. Create a system with your communication where one of your meals is meant to connect with your people, and during that meal, when you connect, make it your mission to ask insightful, connecting questions. One of my favorite questions, I call these power questions. One of the questions I like to ask is, what was a funny moment in your day today that was unrecognizable to a lot of people, but it was a funny moment to you? Or what was something one of our dogs' name is Epic. What's something that Epic did today that you got a lot of enjoyment out of? And she'll answer, and then she'll ask me a random question. We just kind of keep going. And so this process of asking power questions during meals, specifically dinner in my household, has streamlined the communication. We've worked through a lot of issues, and I've really continued to get to know my wife across time. Now, I will say that there has been seasons in my life where I haven't been able to ask those questions, and I've just messed it up. I just haven't asked every single night, right? But I'll tell you, it has been one of the biggest things that has saved my marriage over the years. But not only that, it's not only good for the marriage, it's really this is a really good technique to bring into the workplace. So when you go out with your team and you're at lunch or you're at dinner with them, create that boundary and ask insightful questions and really connect with your people. And this communication technique will not only potentially save any romantic relationship that you're in, but it'll potentially save the team that you're building as well. Guys, I hope you liked this video, and hope you liked the little story too. If you did, drop a comment down below, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Conquer all.